coalition is comprised of ASTI, Gary Smith of ASTI, myself of RITA. Gary Schrift is the president of IIAR, and then Lowell Randall is the vice president of legal and government affairs with the Global Cold Chain Alliance. So we basically have all the big guns in our industry come together as a coalition for ammonia safety and for us to be able to do our jobs in a safe, effective manner. So that's what basically we are about. So we formed this coalition in 2020 during COVID. So we decided to just get together and chat and see what we could do to make our industry better, to help people be safe and for us to get around. There we go. So you have ASTI, Response Recovery, Emergency Response Procedures, the Tripod, IAR, Prevention, Codes and Standards and Education, RITA, Prevention, Response, Recovery, Technician Education, Operator Certification, and Global Cold Chain Alliance, GCCA, Facilities and Systems, Construction to Production, Supporting a Safe Food Supply all over the world. So that's what we all do, is do this all over the world. So it's very important to us that we each have our own missions in this coalition. So with that, I'm going to let Gary talk about the Tripod and ASTI and his part of the mission, and then we'll go on from there.
I thank Jim for introducing the coalition, because it's a move forward that I think everybody is going to benefit. In fact, I know everybody's going to benefit, because it's the building of what we call the Tripod. The Tripod, just to explain a little bit more about what Don introduced, it all starts and stops with industry. We don't have industry in this country. We don't have production. We don't have anything called, say, food, pharmaceuticals, vegetables, production of everything that we eat and do and live by. It starts and ends with industry. But so do the hazards of running a facility. And so hazards are issues that we are facing in this room. Electrical hazards, gas hazards, whatever, natural gas, whatever. We live with hazards every day. Driving to this facility was hazardous. It's all about managing the hazards. And industry is in it for profit and for long term, and they in themselves have risk management policies and process safety policies, and they're ready to address the top event with the command team logic if one does occur, meaning an emergency event. That we should be ready to address the key elements of command, and that somebody should always be in charge. And today, for this facility, as it was announced, I'll have that role. We need somebody that would be your lead responder, your go-to person. That was Rick Williams. EMS, fire, anything going on today? Rick's my immediate contact. Notification, we need to make the call. We got problems about today. We're lucky. We got the fire department right with us and for most of the day. But we need to make that 911 call and to make those mandatory calls. So Corrine Schreck has got that role. She's going to take care of it. And when it comes to evacuation, moving the people out, you've already heard it. Don Tragathon is our evacuation coordinator. You see, just with 4 people, what we can do in addressing any kind of emergency. So the way we stand solidly is that we have that initial structure with industry, where it starts and stops, and then we roll to government. Government sets the minimum standards. It's the referee. It's kind of like where our boundaries are. And from the government standpoint, they're the gatekeeper for employee and community safety. There has to be minimum standards. And those minimum standards have to be enforced with the vigor of the safety that we need to provide employees and the community. But we work together on that. And with Cal OSHA, we've had a tremendously good history, largely because, look, they're here with us. That's the epitome of working together, is to hear the messaging. So they move forward with regards to being the kind of the referee of what we want to have as minimums. But industry often goes beyond that. Now, in the process of actually addressing an emergency event, there's 4 stages. 4 stages of every emergency. First is discovered, right? You discover it with an odor, with an alarm system, with somebody telling you, hey, something's wrong, that electrical outlet is sparking, we got a problem. That early warning gives us a chance to take the steps right away to address it. Stop it small. Deal with it. The initial response then is the team. We got to get the team moving. The command and the lead responder and all the players I just described before, we got to go to work. And we got to get people out of harm's way, and we have to start the process of dealing with that emergency. And then you have the initial response, where the fire department is rolling in, first responders are there, and they're ready to help and support that effort. And so it goes on then to public safety. And in this part of the team, anything that we got started, if we got them there early, they're going to keep small. They're going to attack it. They're going to take charge of it. Because they are responsible for employee and community safety, just as government would represent. And we need to be able to team with them so they understand how to go about that, especially with ammonia systems. We'll talk more about that as we go forward. And then, the response tools that we'll talk more deeply about. The CAN report, conditions, actions, and needs. That's what the IC says right off the bat. What's going on? What have I done so far? What's my actions? What do I need? And get some focus and have a clipboard ready with your master map and your details so that you can address that, real quickly. And so, in the bottom line, we call this a 1 plan plus, because we prevent, we protect, and we prepare. So when it comes down to the situation with an event, we stop it small before it becomes a top event, an emergency. When it becomes an emergency, we stop that small because we don't want it to be a catastrophic emergency. We get on it and deal with it. That's what we're pushing forward. So as the coalition goes forward, we all bought into this. Bought into it solidly. And we're working together with Safety Days to make that happen. And many other things. So just to transition to ASTI's standpoint, I announced at the RETA annual meeting just this year that ASTI is pulling out of commercial compliance training as a vendor, as a contract. We started our operations 30 years ago on just going out and doing training because it wasn't even a requirement then, but we earned some revenue off of that so we could keep our nonprofit going. I was volunteering for 15 years, and I had others that I worked with in the fire department as a fire chief in Watsonville to keep it going. And then we hired Jim Ennis as an employee, and eventually we evolved, but so did the regulations. And now we have great vendors, contractors who do that training. So we're falling back. We're giving up $400,000 of revenue that we earn, every year on that basis. And we're going to team up, and we're going to make that tripod stronger and feed back quality training for the vendors, the contractors that deliver the training, and make that their business. They're with you on PSM, they're with you on emergency management, they're with you for everything else. Let's build them up strong to give you the latest and the greatest. And we will start working on everything we can that you'll see some of today to give you that information through them. And this system is going to be very, very strong. So it's a setback for us for a while, but it's in the long run, we're going to go leaps and bounds because we're partnering up and moving forward.